In my last Game Room Ideas video, I shared a method for creating these mini retail boxes. If you haven't already watched it, please consider doing so, as I'll be making several references to it. These are a cute and novel way to store and display your game cartridges, especially those without a native side or end label. The overall response to this tutorial has been very good, so good in fact that I've gotten some great suggestions for alternative techniques from my viewers that I'll be exploring here. When we're done, I'll take what I've learned and give you some more project ideas that you can use to enhance your game room. When I was making my boxes for my last video, I did more prototyping than research. The first method that I found that produced a good result became the basis for the tutorial. Little did I know that after posting it, the resulting mountain of feedback would lead me to some very scary and unfamiliar places. My local craft stores. Any skilled discipline, almost by definition, has a high barrier of entry. This is true of many practices: carpentry, plumbing, fighting games, and even the various arts and crafts pursuits. It can be a bit overwhelming or intimidating to enter a store with so much minutia, much of it seemingly similar, but each with a specific intended use. Keep in mind that my experience with crafting has up to this point been limited to Little Big Planet. I've grabbed a few different items from here and my print shop in an effort to test some alternative build methods for the game boxes. I'll be showing you the results of these experiments, but be mindful of my lack of expertise. These tips will by no means be completely exhaustive and comprehensive. If I get something wrong, or if you know of better materials or methods I should be using, please add to the conversation by mentioning it in the comments. For a point of comparison, I'm going to make several copies of this box using various printing techniques. But remember, these methods will be good for any type of box you wish to produce, not just Game Boy. I received a lot of comments and questions about the lamination step in my previous tutorial. For those that don't have an available laminator, it was suggested to seal the print with a good quality clear packing tape. This is an easy substitution that works well. It was also recommended to try using a clear gloss paint to try to add some luster to the print. Well, I tried it with this spray, and I don't think the results were all that impressive, even after 2 coats. Maybe there is another brand or product that you could recommend? To my eye, it is barely an improvement over a standard print, and some of the printing methods I'm about to show produce a much nicer result. I want to reiterate that laminating your box print was always optional. I just preferred the 3 effects it had on the finished box. I like the added glossiness, the added sturdiness, and the added durability. But as you can see, an unlaminated cardstock box is still very nice and requires less work and materials to achieve. Next, let's compare the results of different printing methods. When I made the previous tutorial, I mentioned that my personal inkjet printer was my only viable printing option. I feared that my print shops would likely deny the use of their laser printers due to copyright laws, and a few of my commenters were rejected at their stores. In the time since, my local print shop has improved and increased its self-service offerings, so now I found it to be easy to make laser prints, although I have to convert my images to a PDF. As you can see, the laser printer makes a very nice image, but even side by side, my inkjet print holds up pretty well. One thing about the laser printing process that I like is that the print ends up with a slight sheen that is absent on the inkjet, at least on standard paper. So let's move on to other paper styles. Here are prints from glossy paper and photo paper. Pro tip: even though a reduced Game Boy box image is smaller than 5x7, it might not fit on 5x7 photo paper if it falls outside of printable margins. The color reproduction seems to be slightly more accurate on my inkjet prints, but I'm not sure it would be noticeable without the comparison, and the color difference might be attributable to something in the individual laser machine I used. I made all of these prints in an attempt to discern a clear victor, but in all seriousness, I would be happy to use any of these. The biggest difference isn't in print quality, but in their glossiness. I think I would unscientifically rate them like this, with the original box coming in somewhere between laser standard and glossy paper. As I had mentioned in the previous tutorial, I wanted to try a laser printed glossy cardstock. Now that I've been able to, here's the result. It makes for a very nice final box needing fewer steps, but some of my viewers have printers that won't accept cardstock. This brought up some discussion and research, and I'm glad to report we found box making methods that start with these standard weight papers. In the scrapbooking section of my craft stores, I found these chipboard or cardstock blanks. These are 12-inch squared and they're only a few cents each. They are available in a wide variety of colors and patterns, but I grabbed this light gray. We are going to affix one of our prints to this cardstock. Basically, we need a permanent glue that won't cause the paper to wrinkle or smudge. The adhesive section at the craft store is quite overwhelming, so I'm asking for your suggestions and first-hand experiences. Did you need to press your project after gluing? When do you need to use a hand roller? Just like the printing experiments, I don't think there is a single best practice, but I'll keep this video's description updated with your best ideas. I think a glue stick is a good choice, but those dry really fast, so you'll have to work quickly to get everything coated and mounted. For this video, I'm using my trusty spray adhesive. I already know it works well, I just hope that in the long term the paper doesn't separate from the cardstock. I'll give the back a good quick coat and lay it on my card. The quicker this is done, the more permanent the bond. To help get good adhesion, I'm covering the paper with scrap and pressing the two pages together to help spread and soak in the glue. After about an hour, the glue should be dry and we can work with our box. Pro tip, if you are making Game Boy game boxes, you can get 3 or maybe 4 out of one sheet of this cardstock. Using this method, I don't intend to laminate this box. The cardstock provides enough sturdiness and the laser printed paper, glossy paper in this instance, is sufficient to my eye. I previously showed that I scored the fold lines on the front side of the box. That was on a surface protected by lamination. Since that isn't the case here, I recommend cutting out the box first and scoring your lines on the back to prevent damaging the printed surface. Again, scissors seem to work well for me, but some people prefer using a cutting mat and metal ruler to get good straight lines. Any box making tips for repro boxes should work here too. Be sure to search around. Okay, scored, folded, and glued, and this looks simply amazing. Look how closely it mimics the original box. With this technique in mind, consider these variations. I purchased my chipboard, but there are different types of cardstock all around us. I found sheets used as packing and shipping material. Consider using file folders, poster board, or even heavy craft paper or construction paper can work well for small boxes. Essentially, the smaller the box you are making, the lighter weight your backing material should be. If you use anything thicker than, say, a cereal carton for a small box, the folds and interior size might not work as intended. Try using full sheet labels instead of glue to save a step. Some of you lucky people have home hobby cutting machines. These machines can add a certain degree of automation to this process. They can be programmed to cut out your boxes, and some even have scoring tools available. I would love to have a chance to play with one of these machines. If you've used one for this process, let us know and show off your work. As you've seen, there are many different approaches that can be used to make these boxes. I had no idea when I started this project how much it would teach me. These new skills have given me the inspiration to solve some of my other game room problems. Maybe you can do the same for you. Here are a few of my examples. As I've shown before, I was able to make a nice box for the card game I designed. I made myself the world's cheapest amiibo. The Eye of Judgment is an AR-enhanced collectible card game for the PlayStation 3. The game requires a camera stand, playmat, and decks of cards. To keep these items handy, I found this box several years ago. It holds all of these items easily, and since it's a very similar size to a PS3 game case, it fits in nicely next to the game on my media shelf. This is the only box of this size that I've happened upon, and the problem is with its condition. It has this tape all over it that won't come off without destroying the surface. I've wanted to decorate it in some fashion for years, but never devised a way to do it well. That is, until now. I created this simple box sleeve to cover it. Now I display it proudly. Lastly, I wanted to create a new contribution to share with the community. I designed the simple template to allow you to create your own customizable cubic box. This is actually a half template, as you'll need 2 copies fashioned together with glue or tape to complete one box. Customize the sides of the template following the guides on my website. You can cover the sides with your favorite images, such as family pictures, for a functional photo cube. Print and fashion your box using any of the methods discussed in these tutorials. There are papercraft box templates all over the internet, so what makes my design special? I designed it to work so that both box halves use the same single template. I found that this improved my customization workflow by reducing a level of complexity. By splitting it into 2 pages, it allows for larger boxes to be printed. The base template is just a bit too large to be printed on a sheet of letter paper. Why would I do that? Well, this is the neat part. I made it so that the cube sides are 100 millimeters. After customizing your box, any percentage you reduce the image during printing will produce a box of that size in millimeters. Depending on your printer's margins, a size reduction of roughly 90% should fit on a page, but if you need a cube of say 72 millimeters, reduce the templates to 72%. As this is a Game Room Ideas video, here are several ways to use these boxes to enhance your game room. You can house or organize various gaming bits, such as dice, chips, meeples, or pawns. You can create nice shelf accent pieces. Here I added a small LED light. Here's another method of Game Boy game or other portable game storage and display. What about memory cards? You can size a box to hold PlayStation, Dreamcast, or GameCube memory cards in style. Mix and match designs to simplify a change of decor. I've made these designs and many more available via the link in the description. And now, if you'll excuse me, I'm done with making boxes for a while, so I'm going to go play with my Nintendo Labo. I want to thank my commenters again for each of their suggestions and contributions to this project. My biggest takeaway from this experience was not to be afraid to try something new. You've made it to the end of my 9th Game Room Ideas video. If you haven't seen the rest of the series, here's a playlist. I love to talk about my video games and collecting, and if you are the same, please consider subscribing and giving this video a like. Connect with me through Facebook or my blog. I'd love to chat about your Game Room ideas. Cheers!